Okay, this is Ife's assignment, and I want us to take a close look at it. She has done pretty well, and with this level of writing, I can tell you she's very much good to go. And I need you to know that, like I've always said, practice makes perfect. This is one student I have told you before now. I've always been practicing, dedicated to writing essays. She has written different types of essays, be it story, speech, article, letters, different types. She had come for corrections, for more work, more assignment, and all that. And with that practice of her own and close monitoring, she has been able to do so well over the years, over the time, over the months, over the weeks, and all that. And she's getting better by the day. Each time I read her essay, I am just happy, and like seriously, I'm very proud of her. Now, this is one student I can tell you that she will go to the exam hall, and I'll be rest assured that she will do so well. At least for her essay, I am 100% sure that she will have no issue. The two assignments given, she has not just only done it, she has done it well, and has also typed, not forgetting to fix in all the features. Features in the sense that there is a good title, there is a well-constructed introduction, the body of the work is intact, and her conclusion is superb. The ones that need closing remark or complimentary closure, she does that well. Now look at this question. Write an article suitable for publication in a national newspaper on the high cost of living, suggesting at least 3 ways in which the government of your country can tackle the problem. Now, the point here is for you to talk about the high cost of living. Not just that, suggesting at least 3 ways in which the government of your country can tackle it. So these two things must reflect in your work. Now look at her introduction. From the day they are born, all human beings require certain materials necessary for survival in order to maintain a decent life. Items like food, clothing, and shelter are the most basic and most essential. Unfortunately, not everyone can obtain access to these necessary materials, as all come with a certain cost which they are unable to pay, which severely reduces the quality of their lives, and it is common knowledge that this occurs in many parts of Nigeria. So, let us take a look at why this happens and what can be done about it. This introduction is so perfect. Like, I'm in love with this introduction. Look at the way she tabled the situation. She went further to tell you how these essential things, what man needs, in essence. The basic things we need is feeding, clothing, and then shelter. These are the 3 basic needs of human life, a human being, I say. And these 3 basic things, she has been able to let us know that these things, because they are basic, costs more. And then humans are not able to afford what they need. So they only afford the little they can, which makes their standard of living to become so low. So she has painted a situation, a scenario that will be able to lead us into discussing high cost of living. Look, At this level, I can't demand anything more from her. This introduction is 100% for me. At this her level of writing, this introduction is 100%. She has been able to paint a scenario of that thing that leads to high cost of living. And look at how she ended the last sentence. Okay? So she said, let's us take a look at why this happens and what can be done about it. She has been able to tell you that she wants to talk about this cost of living, why they are high, and the things that can be done about it, which is what is required of her in the question. Remember, she has to mention what? The solutions that the government can do. Now look at the next paragraph. The cost of living is simply the monetary amount that a person needs to spend in order to acquire everyday items needed for survival in a particular place and at a particular time. It is the cost of maintaining a particular standard of life. In the current Nigeria, it is easy to note that living in cities like Lagos or Abuja is much more expensive than in other areas, thereby implying that the cost of living is high. Did you get that? She has been able to let us know that these things are needed. Everyday items. What are the everyday items? You need water, you need food, you need clothing, you need probably transportation, you need to just get drugs, the things you need on daily basis. Those things you need, they are basics. And then, what is your earning? And now she cited example as Lagos and Abuja. These are cities where people live. There are other places, but she's been able to set up two examples that the cost of living in cities are high compared to rural areas, which is true. The next paragraph, she says the cost of living in a place largely depends on the prices or costs of goods and services there, and those prices can rise or fall depending on a number of reasons. What are those reasons? One could be population, as more people would mean less goods and services would be around, as people are more than the goods and so. In competition of necessary goods, people would pay higher prices for them. This is why the price of items in densely populated areas like Lagos seem to be higher than in other cities. Houses in such areas are also expensive, as the people would need to pay more to obtain the space to live. You can see how she has been able to establish the fact that these are the costs of what? High standard of living. High standard of living can only be seen in a populated place. You go to Lagos, Lagos is crowded. You go to Abuja, these are places where we have businesses. You go to Anambra, you can see the same thing, it's a business area. You go to Kano, you can see the same thing. So where people cluster much for business, and then there are less companies, less goods to go around. When you have these goods in lesser quantity and people are demanding too much for it, then it becomes high. Producers fix more money on them so that only the rich can afford them. Okay, only the rich can afford them. So they become expensive. Such places, houses become so expensive. Okay? You go to places that are not much, okay, come to the north where they have more land, less business, less company. You can rent a 4-bedroom apartment for 150,000 naira. 4-bedroom apartment, 450. Okay, even places like Ilorin, you can get a room and parlor 150, 2-bedroom, you can get 180, 200. But when you go to Lagos or Abuja, 2-bedroom flats will not go less than 500, 600, or even some will go for 1 million naira. Some will go for 1 million. Okay, because those places are populated and things are happening there. So she has been able to establish the key factors that brings about what? High cost of living. Look at the next paragraph. Another is the cost of raw materials and production for such goods and services, as high production costs would result in higher prices. There is also the cost of security, transportation, and education, all of which serve to what? Increase the cost of living in an area. So when production costs are high, the prices of the goods, the end product, will also be high. Security, electricity, transportation, all these things. Okay? Now, in the next paragraph, she's able to bring up the way, which is the second part of the question. Because the second part of the question says, suggesting at least 3 ways in which the government of your country can tackle the problem. Now she said, look at the way she started. Easing the high costs of living in Nigeria would require efforts from both the government and the people. The people could help by conserving and managing the utilization of essential resources and by savings and investments, and the government by employing some of the following measures. Now, this particular paragraph has served as what? An introduction to let the reader know that now I want to talk about the ways through which the government of my country can tackle the problem. She has introduced the solution in a way. So this paragraph is a way of introducing solution. Now let's see her solutions. As food is a major reason for high cost of living, the government could find and support sources of food. It could encourage farming and agriculture through subsidies and loans, as well as research for better methods of food production, processing and preservation. By increasing availability and production cost is reduced. Now look at that. One reason here, the major reason she has mentioned is that what? Government can support sources of food. She didn't just say that. She just also went further to tell us how. Encouraging farming and agriculture through subsidies and loans, as well as research for better methods of food production, processing, preserving, and all. She mentioned these things, explaining them. The next one, clothing is also another reason, as it is an item of both necessity and luxury. By finding new methods of production as well as alternative cheap materials that can be used to make clothing, making quality clothes accessible and reducing its contribution to the cost of living. Look at how she has tabled how government can come into clothing, which is another word, major source of human need, major need of human. Now the last one, she said, also the government could undertake housing projects, especially in densely populated area, which I believe she missed, in densely populated area to reduce, because here she said in densely populated to reduce, okay? But I think what she wanted to write is in densely populated area to reduce the cost of shelter by providing housing methods at reduced prices. It could serve to reduce the total cost of living. If you want to add to it, government can also build houses and give it out for people to pay gradually. Government can also build houses and give it out at a very low rent and things like that. Now look at the way she ended the whole thing as a conclusion. All these and more could help reduce the cost of living and improve the welfare of the people, making the quality of life in our country better than it has been before. Remember, this is an article. She said by Oseni Ifeoluwa. Okay? An article suitable for publication in a national newspaper. The only thing she has missed here is that she has not written the state where she's writing from. This is a national newspaper. It can be written from any part of the world, of the country. So I expected that she should have added Ilorin, if that is where she's writing from, Kwara State. Okay? And if it is an international newspaper, you have to write your country, which is Nigeria. If it is a school magazine, you have to write your class. So her location is the only thing that is missing here. But this article is very, very okay. And you can see the number of weights are just okay as well. They are okay as well. So please, all these things are done through practice. You don't wake up and get this overnight. You have to practice to get to this level. Thank you.